Hi all. I will do this in English, if that's okay for you guys. I know you're accustomed to Dutch, but I'm doing this out of my own selfish little person. Why? Because I'm from Belgium and I'm from Antwerp, and before you know it, I will start talking Antwerpian to you guys, and you won't understand jack of it anymore. So, just for making it sure. Um, Cloudvoyance, monitoring in Azure. What are the expectations, people? None. Good. That's setting the low standard. All right. First, let me introduce myself. I'm Mike Martin. As I already mentioned, I'm Belgian, and I'm sorry for that, although we are going to the World Championship somehow. Sorry, guys. I just had to do that. I just love the Netherlands. I mean, Belgians and Dutch guys, we always, cats and dogs. But then again, you love our beer. We love your... Yeah. um, I work for the Kronos Group, more specifically for the Crosspoint Solutions cluster, where I am a cloud architect. I guide people into the journey of the cloud, more specifically Azure. People always come to me, yeah, we want to go to the cloud. Do you do Office 365? Guys, Azure. I do the real cloud stuff, not SaaS. I design the things myself. So I'm also an Azure MVP. I run a user group in Belgium. We also have a cool little conference coming up in November called Cloud Brew. So if you like Azure, if you like beer, and if you like community, come over to Belgium. I think Wazug and SDN are gonna raffle some tickets over the coming weeks, so keep an eye out on Twitter if you follow them. And speaking of Twitter, if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's StickMike2kx. Be aware, it's a big data stream. People dislike me for that part. And you can also mail me your questions if you have any. If you have any questions during my talk, please feel free to shout them out, throw something at me. No chairs, please, because I don't dodge them that well. So, and me lying on the floor is not well of a show. Okay. So if you have any questions, raise your hands or just ask them while we're talking. Slides will be made available afterwards. Although it's more imagery than there is that I'm going to show you. Although I will be adding some appendixes at the end of the slide, but that's text. You can read that for yourself, just to get the links back. Right. One more commercial notification is that we're doing the Global Azure Bootcamp again. For those who ever attended the Global Azure Bootcamp or that are going to organize one, please feel free to organize one. I'm very proud that it's already the 6th edition. I'm one of the global organizers. Feel free to put yourself on the map somewhere, and let's make the Netherlands grow in locations. I think last year we had 5, and then it came back to 3, and back to 4, and I don't know anymore. So 10 locations in the Netherlands, that must be manageable, right? Cool to see so many people in my session this time. That's good. So first a question to you guys. I didn't say it was going to be easy. You know who this picture was made by? By who this picture was made by? Nobody? Okay. So if I say surrealist, if I say Belgian, if I say bowler in Pigeon, does that ring a bell? An apple? No? It's made by René Magritte. And the reason why I'm putting this into my slide, it's just a small intro to make sure that we get each other understanding, is that this picture is called clairvoyance. And clairvoyance means helderziendheid, or seeing things that are there, but we don't see them as we should be seeing them. Hence why my talk is called Cloudvoyance, because we need to know and see things for ourselves that are in our side, but we cannot see. Monitoring, logging, diagnosing, troubleshooting, all that stuff. Yeah? This is a little link. I'll leave that for you. It's just not only a pretty slide, it's a very nice artist. He has a great oeuvre that you can take a look at. And seeing already the date and the modernism of this painting makes me feel, well, the guy was way ahead of his time. Hence why it also fits in the picture. So, monitoring. Raise your hands. Who's a developer here? All right. Who's infrastructure? You're not that many. I expected more of you guys here, to be honest. That is good. That's good. So, according to me, you have some expectations to monitoring to your applications, most of you, because elsewhere you wouldn't be being, right? Right, cool. So, do you all know the monitoring capabilities we have in Azure? Who is willing to name a few? like analytics. Yeah, that's more an infrastructure part. Yes? Huh? Application insights. Yeah, that's good. Anybody else? Security center? Yeah, all right. So at least you know a couple of them. Well, there's way more where that came from. You have all these things at your availability, as your disposition. And you know, as you can see, they're really scattered, but they're all very useful, and you should be using them all together. Yeah? And the goal is, at the end of my talk, is that you understand how they work together and how you can use them. It's a level 200 because I still have the impression that a lot of people don't understand what logging and monitoring means in Azure. Yeah. Is that all it takes? No, there's also third-party stuff that you can use. I will probably show you if I still have some time, and elsewhere, come join me tomorrow after my talk, and then we'll come find me and I'll give you some demos on some other products if necessary. But it's also mentioned in my slide deck at the end. So that's something for your convenience. But at the end, there's one thing that you need to take away, and it is that actually you never need to leave the portal or your other client that you're willing to use to monitor your Azure environment. That's basically it. Right? So let's get started. Who remembers this? This is iteration 5 of the portal. Yes, that was the 5th generation. There were 4 before that. We had a Silverlight portal. This was an HTML5 thing where Microsoft really played our feet, and they pulled a great joke on us because everybody remembers the spinning circle thing. And we all thought, oh, how the hell did they do that in HTML5? Okay, big joke on us. It was an animated GIF. For those who ever installed WAP or Windows Azure Pack, if you wanted to brand them, that circle always stayed blue. And then we went to investigate, and it was a GIF, so hence they played the joke on. But we had some basic monitoring capabilities here, metrics, and for those who remember this portal or still use it, although it's quite impossible now because not a lot of features are still being used in there. You see the small orbs, the small circles, the ones with the chips in? CPU percentage, discrete bytes, disk writes, and so on. Who knew that you could chip them away and actually granularly make your metric and your dashboards only focus on that specific metric? Not a lot of people knew that. Just like the little cloud on top, if you could click it, you had a home page with some extra tips and tricks and troubleshooting things that nobody ever realized that you could actually use it. Everybody always thought it was icons or just images. Yeah? But those were clickable. Enter Ibiza. It sounds like a fun party to be. Sometimes. Especially not in the beginning. It was a nightmare. Oh, sorry. Is this annoying for you? Okay. I do that a lot, sorry. It was, in the beginning, it was a nightmare to use the portal. Why? It wouldn't scale, although the ideas behind it were great. But it was kind of stale. You had all these blades that were positioning next to each other, and then you had to scroll all the way to the other side of the portal or your browser and go, scroll all the way back, close all these panels. By the way, they fixed that now. Now you only see one panel or maximum 2 in one browser window. Since, actually I think it was since Ignite that they did that. But it gave you new visualizations and new capabilities of monitoring, which is very great. Yeah. So, to get started, you already mentioned the highlights of the monitoring talk. You mentioned OMS, log analytics, you mentioned application insights, you mentioned security center. Yeah. But let's take it a little bit further. For those who don't know application insights, it used to be Visual Studio application insights. Who remembers that? Still a couple of. And then they integrated it into Visual Studio. They integrated it into Azure, and it became a product on its own before that. And then up, we had this. Now, if we take a look at application insights, we have a lot of telemetry of our application available. But for those who run servers, and you want to run them on-prem, you can actually also install an agent and push all that data from the agent together with CPU, metrics and stuff also into the cloud, into the same environment. Who knew that? That you had an agent? Okay, still quite a few. Did the IT pros in the room know about that? Are you supporting application insights somehow? better start looking at it, because it can actually do more than just telemetry. It can also do automatic hooking to work items in Visual Studio, for those who do that. If you want to automate your DevOps process, that's actually a good thing. If your application is peaking in memory or in errors or whatever you want a threshold on, it can actually throw back things to your environment and create a ticket for you in VSTS or anything else, if you want that. Let's take a look at a few specifics. Now, don't forget, this is only a 45-minute talk, so I will go over some things quite fast. This is a level 200, so it will be basic, but I will show you some things that you probably haven't seen yet or haven't been aware of. Of course, then for that, I need to open my portal. Let's go to the portal. So we have our application insights. Here we are. And I created one for an environment, for a website. Just a basic website. It's even a couple of websites that I'm doing here. And the first thing that we see is that you have a standard timeline, and there's no server requests here. Why? Because it's a very still, hidden website from me only. So I forgot to put some load on there. But if we take a look at this, for instance, the live metrics stream, and we go to the website, let me see if I still remember the URI correctly. Go there for a second. I had it here on screen somewhere. Nope, okay, forgot about that. No problem. Let's open a browser window next to that. And we go for T2KX. Nope, not that one. Let's see. What did I name it again? Forgot about the name. Oh, stupid me. I think I still have the... Nope, it's not this one. I forgot to put it ready. That's pretty stupid of me. Give me just a few seconds here. No, 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 no. That's what happens when you forget to... Okay, let's just go back here, open a second portal, and just do it from here. I can just open it from the web apps. That will be easier. Forgot to pin it. If I just go to the over here, T2KX. Here we are. X. Here we are. That's the one that I need. If we just go, come on, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Overview. Yep, this is the one. That was the one I was looking for. So, we have our website. As you can see, it's just, I've been doing a little European show. This was on Monday, this is today, this is in a couple of weeks, so I will be doing that. As you can see, requests are actually coming into our live environment. Our live metrics actually capture everything of requests, and if I just browse to my site, I will actually get some more environments. I can actually just try to get some more data out of this, and even if I copy this, I will just open this in Firefox for a second just to have a different session and a different browser. If Firefox is willing to cooperate. And luckily the internet is with me. So as you can see, and all this data is being captured pretty nicely in live streaming. And this is just by means of an additional NuGet package that you need to set while you're integrating application insights into your application. Or just set it as an extra setting in your agent, and you can also do that from there. So your data will then be live captured. The application setting that you need is called applicationinsights.net, and it will be automatically added if you look for the NuGet package and just insert it the correct way. So that's something that you can do from there out. That's one part that you have. Now there's another thing that I would love to show you from an application insights thing. And that is that if you look at all the user sessions, for instance, as you can see here, I had some, there's no data available. You could do that for the last 24 hours, or by anyone who viewed the page, also differently on the different pages to give you a good idea if you need some metrics on your statistics, for instance. And as you can see, it's a one unique user. You can also take a look at the specific browsers if you want to. So those are very nice things if you just want to forget things like Google Analytics, but this is not really for troubleshooting. This is more from a business perspective that you want to take a look at. Now, all this data that you can have here can allow you to generate some alerts from the moment that you reach some oh, okay. That's the downside sometimes. That happens. Yeah, there we go. It breaks again. All right. So when you have all these thresholds and all these metrics, you can easily create alerts out of this, and you will be warned when some, let's say, you reach more than 20% of 500 HTTP status requests, or you have more than, let's say, 400 404 pages that aren't found. There's something wrong with your routing or something, and that you forgot to upload a page or whatever. So you can really use this as a troubleshooting tool. Now, there's one thing that I would love to show you is this thing. You can actually do a continuous export to archive all this data and have some statistical, historical statistics on your environment. This will integrate with some, if you do this, this will integrate with some storage accounts. You configure that, and then you can actually pick up all the data, all the telemetry from the storage account using by your own log analytics or your MMS or LMS or whatever it's called today, and analyze it through those means. And the same goes for some other materials also in the Azure monitoring perspective. So sorry if you already knew this. For those who have never seen application insights, I think most of you have or not? Still, okay. So knowing that you can have live statistics on web pages or even on your servers, and that you can integrate it with the agent, will bring you that additional set of data to life. Cool. That's only the beginning. We're getting there. Next to that, we have something called Security Center. And you probably say, oh, you go from applications to Security Center. Well, I make a mistake here. Why am I doing this? Because there's a certain kind of order that I would love to say, and the reason why I'm showing this first before OMS, for instance, is because this is now being integrated fully into OMS, and the data will be ported back into the portal. Hence why it's a little bit of what is called egg-chicken relationship. What was first? But they now already porting all the data that is being captured in your VMs, in your web applications, in your SQL databases, in your whatever audit logs or whatever data you need. This is being already pushed back into your OMS environment. And underneath it's already OMS that is getting there. Now, Security Center, there's a word of advice that I give you. Please activate it by default. There's no reason why you should not activate it. The downside is that you can still not script it to automate it, so you need to go to the portal once, click on the little shield thing, and not the Marvel shield thing, but the green shield thing. Yeah, that was a lame joke. Okay, sorry. And then it will automatically be activated. Yeah. And now the cool thing about a Security Center is that it can do so much more than you think. Especially now today with all the new toys that we have. For those who need to maintain an Azure network, for instance, is there any networking specialists here in the room doing Azure networking specifically? But you are aware from a concept that there is Azure networking, that you can integrate it with anything else. There were a lot of announcements during night saying that you can now have service endpoints integrated into your VNet, that you can have ASEs better integrated into your VNet, SQL Server managed instances integrated into your VNet. But there's also things like DDoS protection. Windows application firewalls that can hook into that, and where we can use Network Watcher to monitor all these things. Now, network security will also gain from that knowledge, and will also show you in the future some relevance here. And if we take a look at the Azure Security Center, we have something which is called onboarding to advanced technologies, enhanced security. Well, this means that you start to pay, but everything else that you see here, what I've done here so far, is free. So that's pretty interesting. Of course, if you're doing a lot of machines, then you will start adding an agent to your nodes, but the first set of data is just completely free, so there's no reason not to do it. Well, if you take a look at the security center itself, and it's focused so mostly on security from either a breach perspective or from either a protection perspective. Well, breach is that we are in an attack zone, and protection is that we are still feeling safe and that we can protect our assets, and that we have some recommendations, I was looking for the word, sorry, that we have some recommendations that we can set on our environment to make our environment even more secure. And as you can see, there were a couple of events last week, especially on that log analytics environment. As you can see, events over time. It gives you some nice graphs, accounts that fail to log on, especially when you're having some issues with your clients, for instance, if you're doing AD logins or machine logins and where you forgot your network passwords. But it could also mean that you're, yeah, sorry? Well, the data standard is actually 7 days to 90 days, depending on which data it is. Yeah. Now, the cool thing is that you can actually export all that data and put it again in a storage account, and you have some mechanisms for that, scripting or automation or whatever, and you can actually regain on that data. Yeah, there is in Power BI, and that's actually a tool that I frequently forget to mention at the end of my talk because there's no more time because we're going so much discussion. But Power BI has some standard. I can show you that, and maybe that's not such a bad idea to show you that immediately. Is Power BI can actually be used as an reporting engine on a lot of Microsoft tools in Azure. First of all, you have the Azure Active Directory integration, where you can see all your AD related actions that have been set and see all the activity going on. Now let's hope that I type correctly. Oh yeah, see, that's what happens. That's more like it. Okay, so wait for it. So, but you can indeed use Power BI, and actually for a lot of things that you can use Power BI, not only for security, but also for your monitoring, for instance. That's also one thing that is most of the time being forgotten. Monitoring your money in Azure is also something that you need to do. Most of the time that somebody uses the EA portal, God forbid that who creates a new one, because that's, okay, who finds it annoying to use? The EA portal? Yeah, don't be ashamed. You can say that. But this will actually give you an oversight. Now, things for monitoring money, monitoring money, that's a mouthful, will get better. Now that they bought Cloudin, that's also a portal that they will integrate back into the portal, and they will probably give you a nice feature on huh? Yeah, they already did, but it's not fully functional. Not all the functionalities that they want to put in there are already in place, and it has some accounts or some subscriptions actually have an issue reporting back to it. So, and you need an EA administrator account, or you need anything like that. So, for now, there's still some work to be done. But in the EA portal, you can actually generate some API keys, which can be on a department level also, and that doesn't work too well so far. So, but indeed, you can have a lot of things in Power BI to report back, to get back to your question, which actually just shows you a lot of assets, as you can see here, like the audit logs, for instance, but also indeed Security Center for both policies and for both security insights, and it will generate you some maps, some graphs, and you can drill down on those. And it's very limited, and there was an issue a couple of months ago with this, so my always failed, and apparently that had to do with the ARM integration that they did, but it now is back fully working. So indeed you can just do, and you don't need to do anything specific for it. It will just ask you for your tenant ID, and you need to have a basic authentication mechanism in place, and it will just work. Not yet. That would be a nice one, but no, it's mostly based on assets, but they will probably do something about that. So what was I gonna say here? Yeah, okay. One of the cool things that you can also have is that you can have custom alert rules. They're now in preview, and you can actually create some new custom alert rules based on the thresholds that you have, based on the data that you have, and based on certain workspaces that will be thrown back into the OMS. This is where it comes from, and actually it will generate some alerts on the OMS side for you. Cool. Also, advanced cloud defenses you can now have. For those who were paying attention in the overview, you can now have advanced cloud defenses in there. It allows you to do just-in-time VM access. So you have an AD user and you give them just-in-time access to the VM in case of an emergency. So that way they can go from the outside to the inside. And you can also have application controls, allowing certain applications to pass through, yes or no. That's also part of your monitoring strategy. Now, one thing that you need to monitor is, of course, the recommendations. Sometimes they will just show you, like, for instance, add a next generation firewall because you have 2 endpoints just totally open to the internet. You don't want that. There's also just-in-time network control that is shown, and as you can click through on all these things, it will actually show you all the rules that have failed for this one. This is scanning based upon the baseline analyzer that we know from Windows Server, and this will actually return back to the Windows Security, Azure Security Center. Cool. This is the blade thing that I was talking about. You now have to close it, and the blades will show back. I mean, you no longer have a scroll bar at the bottom. It's kind of annoying and not annoying at the same time. From a real monitor perspective, you have the alerts, and as you can see here, I have 2 events. There was one last week and the week before that. There's an failed RDP brute force attack. So these are the things that you really want to monitor if it comes down to security. This is where all the action happens. You want to try to maintain that, and from there out you can actually just click through, see what happens, and actually it will allow you to either run a playbook, and this can be a logic app or a piece of script that you can do with serverless, and then you start implementing a fail-safe thing automatically. So that will happen for you if you configure that. Okay, you can you have all the info. Now there's another way of doing that. If you want to go raw on the APIs, there's a Roam API which is not really well documented, but not really well usable, because there's no PowerShell or AZ client integration with it. But at least you can talk to the API, but it's fully documented anyway. So if you look for Security Center API just in the docs page, you can actually do a lot of things there. If you want to know more about that, and if I ever get back to Holland to do my security talk, I will actually demonstrate that. Cool. So Security Center, useful tool for monitoring. A lot of people forget that they can activate it out of the box. So please do so. Now we come back to the thing that the lady in the room said. There's more ladies, I think. Yeah, sorry. You talked about OMS, log analytics. Well, there's some new parts now in OMS which allow us. So if we take a look at OMS first. So OMS is Operations Management Suite, which used to be Operational Insights, which used to be Log Analytics, which used to be System Center Advisor. Yeah, the program actually got rebranded more than I changed my underpants. That's that kind of a marketing thing that they do. And it came actually from the System Center environment, can nicely integrate with System Center. But if you want to go there, you just go to mms.microsoft.com. Creating it is very easy. You also start a free there because you have a lot of data going in there free. Actually, you can start running 2 to 3 VMs with basic monitoring available and some services at ease without having to pay for the ingested data. And now I just hope that the internet will not play tricks on me. Here we go. So that's good. So I need this one. And now it's cool to see all these graphs and all this data that you can use, and you can join queries on that. But the downside is that it's still a secondary portal. You need an additional screen, you need an additional people managing that, you have different security settings and all that. But if we take a look at all the things that it can monitor, you can easily take back the activity logs, you can have application insight integrated. Oh wait, application insights. So we already had that in one portal, so that means now we can also see that in this portal. Well, we can actually indeed work with the data that we have here and take a look at all the requests per hour. But here we actually see the raw data, and we can easily just do start doing some queries on the raw data itself. And then we can actually give it back as a table or just as a chart and play with all the insights that we have. It's aggregated values here. We can easily slice and dice this, but we can also create alerts or export all the data and put it back into Power BI, for instance, because there's also a thing. But we can also, and that's something I forgot to show in the previous part, is we can also go to analysis and analytics. If we can, come on, here we are. Why are you doing anything? For some reason, it's not willing. Forget what I said. I'll probably not do anything. Okay. There's another portal that I forgot to mention. That's the Analytics Service portal on Application Insights. And the Application Insights, if we take a look back at our normal Azure portal. Come on. Dale. Go. We have something similar in here, which is called the analytics. This one will work, and that's actually the same thing. It's a damn it. Yeah. It's actually another portal that you can use to have a view on all your data, and this will actually do the same. It will give you some performance runners and so this should actually turn back from here too. So for some reason it doesn't work. I don't get it, but hey. Or you can also chart and report back to OMS and back and forth and back and forth. So there's a lot of things that you can do with those both things. Now, as I mentioned before, we have the operations management suite, but also in the portal, this returns back to log analytics. There we go. And this will open the workspace that we have. It will actually open the analytics. If you click on the overview, it will actually open the OMS portal back into our portal. Who knew about this? That you can actually now see the OMS portal in your old portal. And the cool thing is, you can start now by doing here right-click and pin to the dashboard. Hey, that's cool. So I no longer have to go. Yeah, if it refreshes, okay. Yeah, for some reason, I don't get it. Microsoft makes its own products, and for some reason, it doesn't show very nicely in the Edge browser. And I love Edge. Come on, show it nicely. That's better. It just shows up like you have in the OMS portal. Wait, dashboarding. So that would mean probably that I have only one ring to rule them all. And that's exactly the point I'm trying to get through. We already saw 3 different portals, but we can actually start creating our dashboards and our global monitoring perspective from just the Azure portal. Put this in place on a large screen, put in the live streaming, put all the other stuff that you want, and make it work in the portal for you. Put it on a large screen, enlarge it, press F11 or whatever you do in Google Chrome, because I don't use Google Chrome, they have different shortcuts, whatever. And you can use it as your strategy. Now, and all this comes to play thanks to another tool which we call Azure Monitor. Azure Monitor is actually your logging aggregation tooling. It will show you correlation probabilities from within the portal itself. And from there out, you can start actually browsing all your different data, and you can bring it back to your dashboard. Now, this is very nice, especially if you have to manage 300 or 400 different services. Let's say if you have 200 websites. Well, I will show you an automated way at the end of my talk, because I wrote some PowerShell scripting that can actually go through all your assets and will generate the dashboards for you. And I made it available on GitHub, so you can thank me later for that. Just the kind of guy I am. But the cool thing about Azure Monitor is that it's support for all the Azure resources, and you can just enable all the monitoring from there you can generate all the alerts from there. It has out-of-the-box metrics and stuff available. So, but there's a couple of things that you need to do first. So first of all, you need to enable all the monitoring that you have. And for that, there's a PowerShell script that can help you. Any PowerShell haters in the room? Everybody loves PowerShell, right? Hey, come on, that sounded sarcastic. You're learning it. PowerShell is the coolest thing around. I kid you not. You can do so much more with PowerShell. You just have to learn it. Look, you can have these nice interfaces. I mean, the Linux boys already had screen fetch. I created screen fetch for the... What? But what you can have is there is a PowerShell script that you can find on TechNet, which is very useful. If I can just do, let me just do it correctly. There is, did you know that tab completion in PowerShell now? Yeah? Linux boys, they say, oh, we had that for years. Yeah, okay, but they do it better. All right, good. There is a PowerShell script called enable Azure ARM diagnostics. Yeah, they follow the naming conventions. And actually what it does, it can actually show you the ways of easily activating all the monitoring. There we go. Take my phone ready. Yeah, two-factor authentication, even on Outlook accounts. Activate it, especially if you're doing Azure management. If you're not, you should be hanged. No, if you do it in your enterprise, and you don't integrate your enterprise AD, but you do it with live accounts, it just as unsafe as a non-authenticated Azure user. So why wouldn't you, right? So that doesn't mean that you're all stupid, just unknowing. Ignorance is bliss sometimes. Oh, okay, good. Still remember from the last time. And it will actually just, yeah, go through all my subscriptions. Yeah, every single time it flashes, that's another subscription hitting the boundary. Yeah, I have that many. Very much fun. Especially when every single time you logged into the portal, that it would always change to the default one. Luckily, they changed that now, and you only have one. Well, and the good thing is there's also something hopefully coming that you can finally delete yourself from an AAD and that you see less subscriptions. Okay. So, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Come on. Alright, I know that one. Just want to show you what's going to happen. There we go. So, first of all, you choose your subscription. I'm going to do for this one. And then I will go through all the resources on which it can automatically generate the logging and create the logging availability for your, I need the resource group, so that's 2. Gathering a list of monitorable resources. Wait for it. Still got 10 minutes, right? And then there's a break. I was almost going to say you're not going to leave for the break, but no, that would have been a bad joke. Come on. Takes a long time. A lot of, it's not that much. Here we go. And you can actually, what was that? Oh, there's somebody sneezing. I thought something came from the ceiling. As you can see, you can actually see whether the metrics and the loggings have been enabled, yes or no, and just say from number 1 to 17, just pick your menu thing and enable it. The downside is that it's not automated yet to do them all at the same time, but if you're a little nifty with PowerShell, you just can adapt the script because, hey, you can download the full script, right? So if you want to know where you can find it, it's I will put a link in my deck, but it's on the TechNet scripting center where you can find it. It's very easy to use. It's a little bit more affordable than just writing your own loopholes, right? So this is just for your reading, just another little thing. So as I told, building dashboards is so exhausting because you need to click every single right thingy tile that you want to see on your dashboard. You need to go and do the queries first. But hey, I got a solution for that. It's on GitHub, bit.ly MD dashboards. And why MD dashboards? Well, first of all, I thought of, well, I have to monitor a lot of web apps. And what's the one thing that I always find annoying is that I forget, first of all, the DNS names of all my Azure DNS names of all my websites. I don't know them by heart. And second of all, if I want to go to the Kudu site, who doesn't know Kudu? You do. Okay. Yeah, sorry. That's a little David Bowie joke. For those who have ever seen Labyrinth. What's the power of the girl? Voodoo. You do. No? Okay. Tough audience. But no, the thing is, if you have Kudu, and let me show you that, just to make sure that you also understand that, because Kudu has also some hidden browsing things. So we go back to our website, if I can find it again. So that's T2KXX. Here we go. Same website again. Come on, internet. Come on, baby. There we go. So we go to that website and we can basically say, oh, yeah, we can do it either through the blade or just go to SCM. And SCM actually stands for Source Control Management, because Kudu was initially a Git interfacing API based upon as an extension in your web environment. And what it does for you, it will generate you a dashboard to manage your IIS. Basically, that's it. And you have a debug console in here, and you can do PowerShell from the shell. And now we have PowerShell on 2 levels. You have PowerShell here, and you have PowerShell in the Cloud Shell for those who've never used it before. But there's on top, if you're looking for that, PowerShell Cloud Shell, you can find it here. And then you can say here on the bottom, it's there, bash PowerShell, and you can just use PowerShell, and you actually have a VM where you can do PowerShell. You can create some stuff. What are you laughing about? Bash, yeah, bash. Now it's bash, and default is on bash, because I only have been playing with the PowerShell one in the private preview. So, and it hooks nicely, but hey, but you have to, and it will rehook you and will create you. For the bash one, it's a Docker container that's been added, and for the PowerShell one, it's actually a VM that's been running in Nano somewhere. And you can do, yeah, it's pretty nifty. The idea behind it is pretty nifty. But back to our diagnostic console. So actually, you can use this. And the reason why I'm showing this before I go to the automatic dashboard creator is that there's also a very nice monitoring website here called the support page. And why the hell did you do that? Let's try that again. Really? All right. Let's try something else then. All right. Web apps. You son of a. That's app services. App services. Yep. Here we go. That's weird. Should be working, unless they killed it again. This one. Let's see. Demo comes, that should be working. Let's replace that. Yep. Federation. No, there's something wrong. They killed the support. Ah, that's such a pity. It's a very nice live FREP logging environment where you can have TCP dumps, HTTP dumps, all the dumps of your IIS can be done from there. You have all these monitoring capabilities, and it always has been hidden for you in plain sight. Again, that's a clairvoyance thing that I was talking about. So you need to know about it. If you want to go there, it's just normally it should work. It's just your website.scm .azurewebsites.net/support. Just like you would go to the Monaco environment. Monaco, you know about that? App Service Editor? Visual Studio in the portal, it's this thing. So that's just dev, and then normally that should work. If that's broken, there's an issue with Azure. I got like 2 more minutes. So see, that's code for you, ladies and gentlemen. Visual Studio Code was born in the cloud, and then they ported it back to the desktop. Actually, I can show you, or you can do it yourself because it will take some time. But if you do F12 and you open the developer tools in Visual Studio Code and you look at the code itself, you will actually see that's the same code names being used and the same code structure that's being used. Hence the proof. And this was there first. So I did a talk on that last year, and people went like, "Oh, there's actually a thing in there." Yeah. So, and you can do the same things, JIT integration and all that. And that's actually the JIT integration here is the exposure of the JIT API of your SCM. So it all comes back to each other. Now, creating the dashboards, as I was promising you. So I'm going to give it to you afterwards. But why am I showing you this? Well, as you can see here, and this is where the magic will happen, I will put this aside and put this up, make it a little bit smaller, just a tad. And we go back to our dashboard here. As you can see, there's nothing in the sleeves. There should not be anything in the sleeves. So we go to all the shared dashboards. Yeah, because I even created it shared for you immediately. Yeah, it's just being bad luck or just normal luck, I think, because the thing is that the provider for creating dashboards, there's no real thing happening there. So there's nothing there yet. So if you know where the resource is located, you can actually create it through an ARM template. And that is what I'm doing. I'm creating an ARM template based upon all the data that I'm getting. I'm going slightly over time. Just give me 2 more minutes if that's okay for you guys. Yeah. But if you take a look at the resource providers and all the resources that are being used in Resource Explorer, so that's also one of the tabs that you have in the Azure portal, you can actually see that there's a resource provider being added called Microsoft.portal, and a sub-provider called dashboards. And this is where your dashboards are being stored. And this is where you can automate the things. And if starting by this script, you will actually be learning from it. So what happens here is that there's no dashboard found. So what I'm going to do here, I have this little script here called add Azure RM dashboard starter web app. And what it will generate for you, it will generate a markdown file, inject it into your portal, generate all the basic telemetry that we have from from Azure Insights, which is a normal telemetry, which you normally would do by doing this. Well, you know, this is the normal application Azure Insights that you can have, and you can have normal telemetry, sliding them into the dashboard and just click and drag like doing so. Yeah, it's just that easy. Yeah. But that's too exhaustive. I want to do it in an automated way. This will all generate that for you. So it will generate an MD file with all your websites in there, all the kudu sites and all the DNSs. Also a link to the app service editor for quick editor. It will generate all the basic metrics like CPU, memory, and HTTP errors and all these things for you based upon the data that we have, all the websites. So I'm going to run this for you. And normally it would run okay. So is this running? Are we doing this? Yeah, it's running. And yeah, right. No wonder I wasn't showing. So I need to log in first, which is normal because I'm changing things. Here we go. Here we have it. Yes, and now I need to wait on the other screen for a second to get my grid view to show up, because I created a grid view which you just allow to select your subscription which you have, and from there out it will start generating everything automatically. So this is what happens. So I have this thing. For those who do PowerShell, you know there's a pass-through thing. That's just basically it. Normally a grid view just shows you and you can sort in order on things, but if you do a pass-through, you can actually pass through the things that you selected back to the next command line in piping. Just a little pro tip. So you click this, click OK. Normally you don't see this OK button in the corner here. Click OK, and now it will start generating all the assets that it has in web apps, and it's like 3 websites and a couple of app service plans. And if I would go to say here, browse all dashboards, normally nothing there yet, so that's good. It's generating all the resource group, getting over it. You want to update it? No, just recreate it. And you can actually reuse that script because it's an ARM template and you can just override it, yeah, and just make it in an automated way. So that should be done. So it created all these things. It created this markdown file for me, which is also being supplied on your hard drive, so that way you can use that. And now nothing shows here. This is a bug in the portal. It's a refreshing, so I cannot change that. What I can do now is just select all, go out, do again all subscriptions, select all, and just have that one constant demo. And that should be working. All right. Hey, where is it? Come on. Here it is. It did create it. Look, bad. Stupid thing. All right. For some reason, it doesn't want to show, but it is here. So if I now just go do this and just do this, it will actually show you the generated dashboard with all the basic metrics, and you can start from there. You don't have to click and drag it anymore, all being generated for you. Take that as an example. Take that back to your own PowerShell scripting. I will be making improvements for that for costs, for VMs, for everything else. And even write a small GUID over it so that way you can just configure it. So, on that bombshell, that was my slightly overview on the monitoring capabilities and how you can actually end up with a nice dashboard. I hope you enjoyed the talk. I hope you didn't find it too annoying or too basic. I hope you learned a couple of things, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of TechDays. Thank you for your attention.